And in this video, we're going to talk about preparing your quote. Now, ideally, you want to watch the video about costing jobs properly first before you watch this video, because in that video we talk about margins and the importance of markups and margins and all the rest of it. I'd highly recommend, if you've not watched that video already, go and watch it in the hub, because that's a good introduction to this video. This video is more the practical, getting to know the quote template that we have produced for you to use on site or in your office, whatever. But this is more how you use that sheet and how it works and get your head around that sheet. But the video, costing your jobs properly, markups versus margins video, is the one that I really need you to watch before you watch this video if you've not done already. Purpose of this presentation is to give you a way of correctly calculating costs and margins at the quote stage, so we know before we send a quote that the numbers stack up, how to track these costs and budgets throughout the project using the sheet, and how to use the template we've created for you in its entirety. This template is a good starting point, but moving on to some job management software down the line is advisable. Again, don't worry too much about that. This is fine. If you only use this template forever, it would be fine. But if you do start getting a bit busier, you start bringing a few more staff into your business, you might want to look at a piece of software. We do have recommendations for that, but we're not going to go into that today. We're just going to focus on the thing that we're here to discuss, and that is the spreadsheet that we've created for you. This is on the assumption that at the minute you don't have a proper quoting piece of software, and if you do, is it doing the right thing for you? So it's just what we've created is something that we think is valuable. Again, you've probably watched videos of me up to now, but again, I'll just quickly introduce myself if this is the first video you've watched. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I've had my own business for 10. We're a multi-award winning installation business of our own. We're not just a supplier. We're a 7-figure business and growing. 1,200 installations projected for this year and more for 2023. And I'm the founder of KBB Supply Services, and our vision is to basically empower installers to be independent and not depend on the big sheds and the showrooms and the trade counters who make our life a misery, in my opinion, and take the money out of the jobs that really we should have as installers. And a lot of installers don't go into being independent because there's too many blockers. Now in the hub and all the services we provide, we are removing all those blockers. So if you're watching this thinking, I'd like to have a crack at running my own business, but all the issues that have been in front of me before are now being removed. So just go in the hub and have a good look around, speak to us about the Trade Partner Programme. And if you have an ambition to grow your own local installation business, supply, fit, design, and offer all those services in-house with our support, that is now possible. So on the quote template, which you can download from the hub, let's get into that. So adding your info. So what we've created here, this is a template for you to use. So it's quite a big sheet, this, and don't worry about the size of it for now. We'll come on to how you edit it and move around it throughout this video. So these ones here, so you might want to offer a warranty. I'd say 2 to 3 years would be fine. If you've done the right job, you won't get any warranty callbacks anyway. So on this, you'd add your logos here. So if you're not a member of BIKBBI, make sure you take this off. If you want to put a different symbol in there for your warranty, do that. Again, I've put anything in red you need to change if it's not applicable to your business. So this is wording that I've put in there that I would recommend that you use, but again, change it for your own business. So thank you for taking the time to complete an installation estimate with us. Should you have any questions or wish to amend your quote design, please don't hesitate to contact us. Remember, like most of our installers, our work comes with a 2-year workmanship guarantee. That might be 3 years. I would recommend 3 years, but 2 years minimum. Workmanship defect guarantee. Your project will be project managed at all times and monitored at all times, to ensure the process is as smooth as possible. If you accept this quote, we return to do a final measure and go through everything with you in much more detail. Any products we supply will need to be paid for up front. We will also require a 40% deposit of installation to secure a date and cover any consumable material costs for your project. The cost of building products is included in the quote. The balance would be paid on completion. Again, they're the terms that I've generally used throughout the years. all the product costs up front, and then the 40% of the installation costs taken at the time that they place the order. Again, you might want to change that, but I wouldn't recommend that you do much less than that, because otherwise you're going to be starved for cash. So they're the first things to change. So put your logos in, decide if these are applicable to you or not. Make sure you delete this if it's not applicable, because that's you won't be licensed to use it if you're not a member of the BIK BVI. Change these things, like I said, just tart that up, make it all look good. So what we've then got here, I'll come on to this section in a moment, but I'll go down the item description. So I've put this into sections for you. So we've got clearance and removal, supporting works, bathroom installation. Again, some of you might do bathrooms. If you don't, you can delete this whole section if you don't do bathrooms. Furniture, assemble and install. Again, that's more bathroom furniture if you're going to do that. Electrical, these are the items that we put in there. All these descriptions you can change. These are just generic. So you might think, I'll never do that. Take that out, take that out, take that out. But it doesn't really matter, because when you filter the quote out, it'll only show the customer the bits that you are quoting. So don't worry too much that it's in there and you might not use it. So certification, usually we'll do gas certificates, electrical, stuff like that, tiling and flooring, decor. Then obviously we've got kitchen installation bits down here. So all we would do is go through and carpentry, maybe a few bits of carpentry outside of the kitchen. So there's practically everything in there that I think you'd ever need on a project, a retail project. What you need to do is pick the bits that you're going to offer a service of. And then what I would do is go through these boxes here, net materials and net labour. What I mean by that is, if you are VAT registered, you put the net number in there, which is excluding VAT. If you are not VAT registered, you will put the full amount in there. So if it's £10 plus VAT and it's 12 quid, and you're not VAT registered, you want to put 12 quid. If you are VAT registered, you want to put 10 quid, because then the calculations will be right. Again, it says that here, materials and labour, if you are VAT registered, put the net amount. If you are not VAT registered, put the gross amount, including VAT, into these yellow boxes. So, for instance, if you said, right, so let's just pick one and just use it as an example. Install wall, plasterboard and plaster skim. You might say, right, so per square metre, it's going to cost me 8 quid. And I'm going to pay a guy to plasterboard and skim maybe £35 a square metre. So again, you need to set these rates for your local builders, merchants, prices, and your labour rates, what you're going to pay. This is what you're going to pay somebody else. Remember, this is all based on you pricing a job properly. So you're paying somebody else. Now, you might do this work yourself. So it's just whoever's going to do the work. If you're looking at bringing on installers, you're going to want to look at, a lot of people say, oh, what should I pay other people? How should I price things up? So for instance, you might go down to the kitchen bit and go, right, so install a unit size 150 to 600. Right, so materials, you might just want to allow a couple of quid a unit for screws, silicone, whatever you need to do that job. Wipes, I know it sounds daft, but for wiping everything down at the end, you need to make sure that you've got all that stuff in. Silicone, just for sealing around the top, so you might want to allow 50p per unit for, do you get what I mean? You need to just make sure that things are factored in. Labour, then you might pay the guy £30 a unit. So your unit net cost price is 32 quid. Then put the quantity in here. So you might go, right, well, there's 4 of those units. Cool. Now it's starting to add the numbers in. So we've got our costs in there. We said there's 4 of those units. Right, there's 3 of these units, and net materials, I'll stick it 2 quid. It's a bigger unit, that, so it's £35. I'll pay the guy to fit it. And then this is then adding up. So each one unit net cost price, so each unit to install is costing you 32 quid and 37 quid respectively for those 2 units. The total is that times the quantity that you've put in here. So this equals these figures times these figures. So then the net sell price, sorry, it's 32 quid there. So then you've got 128 quid there, which is I35 times D35. So that's net cost price times that. Then your sell price is 217 quid. So this is the cost. So this is cost for you to deliver. This is what your costs are. Now, this is what you're going to sell it at. So if it's costing you 128 quid, you're selling it at 217 pounds. So where that's worked out is at the top. So remember the previous video where we talked about markups and margins. So you might go about labor and consumables. So these boxes in the top part of the bit, so these yellow boxes here, all these down here, up to this point is classed as your labor and materials, not products. So you go to labor, materials and markup 1.7. So remember these examples I gave you in the other video. So you'll go, right, actually, I'm going to go for a 40% markup. So in that box, I'm going to put 1.4. And then go back down to the numbers where we've put those things in. This is then brought that down to, so you've got your cost, then you've got your sell price, £179.20. VAT is added on, and then sell price including VAT, and then your profit for those items is £51.44, and that's 28.57. So look at these numbers here. So I'll just highlight them for a moment, just so we can find them in a moment. So let's just highlight them. So see how these numbers here are 28.57. That's because we've got 28.57 here. But if we decide, actually, I'm going to mark this up a bit more, I'm going to go to 1.60%, which is 1.6. Come down here. This has now gone up. So now it's 37% margin, and you've got that on there. Remember that the VAT element, if you're not using it, make sure that you've that you just put the gross figures in here, and you can sort of ignore the VAT in there because it won't be required, because this is working off net figures. So that's how you will basically go through the items, put your materials, put your labor in for all the items. You can pre-populate this, so you can go, right, actually, these are all things I'm going to use. That's how much materials I'll need for that. That's how much I'll pay. And, I can control the markup of these items up here. So I'm controlling that there. So let's just say we've put, right, we're going to put a removal of waste, which will be a skip. So materials, you might be paying, I'd put 230 quid in for materials there. I wouldn't put any labour in. You might want to put £10 in for, Miver making calls and whatnot. But I would just say leave that in at 230, because we're going to mark it up anyway here. So we've got 230 quid in costs. We're going to charge the skip out at 368 quid because we're marking it up. So the Miver money is actually in there. So, you've got a margin on top of the skip there to allow for your time arranging that skip, dealing with the stuff, because all that stuff costs money. So you need to be making sure that you've got margin on everything, so your business can afford to manage that item. If you think, it's 230 quid to me, so I'll just charge it £230 to the customer, but you're the one taking the call, you're the one booking the skip, you're emailing the skip company, or then if there's a problem, you're dealing with that. Where's that money coming from? You need to make sure that there's markup on everything. So let's just move down. Let's just say we're going to box in a bath and a toilet. We'll just stick some numbers in there, just so it gives us something to look at the bottom. Again, it's not, but you can see how it all adds up automatically. Then we've got additional items, which again will just go into, you might have some bespoke items, I don't know, build. You might put build bespoke unit, and that might cost you sort of 400 quid in materials, and it's going to take you, 3 days to fit, and you might put 300 quid a day in for that, or let's say 750, 250 pound a day. Again, that's then marking it up. So you're looking at unit cost price of that, sell price of that, If you've got VAT on there, obviously that'll ramp it up, and you're making £690 profit on that unit, because that's how businesses would do it. So then product supplied by us, you might have got the kitchen from maybe us or someone else. You might go out, the kitchen's 2,300, sorry, kitchen as per plan. And what I would usually do here, instead of listing every single product, you're going to get a 2D plan with your quote. So I would recommend that we put kitchen as per plan ref, put the reference number in for it. So you know then that they're going to refer to that plan to go, right, that's the kitchen cost for that. And you'll go, it's one of those, because you don't want to list every single item if you can help it. Because if you get the plan from us, then you'll get a 2D plan with all the products listed on it. So you don't need to list it twice. There's no point. I would just refer to it in this quote and say, right, and then that kitchen to you. So let's say you're going to pay for the kitchen and it's 2,300 quid. Now you've got to decide then, right, so back to the top. Now we've got products. So the kitchen and everything in this box down here is classed as products. So products supplied by us. Anything above is labour and materials, is this stuff here. Labour and consumables and markup. Because consumable products are like stuff that you're going to use throughout the job. The products is the stuff they're buying. So that to me is the stuff like kitchen, tap, sink, worktops, all that type of stuff. That's the products that they're buying from you. So I would go kitchen plan. If you've not got worktops in there, maybe put worktops and list what they are. 2 times oak tops, 300 by 650. There's 2 of them. They're 200 quid each. And this is your costs going into the yellow boxes. Everything in the yellow boxes is your costs. The 2 oak tops, you might go sink and tap. Again, I'd probably specify what that is, the exact sink and tap, so there's no grey area on that. If it's not on your product list, it might be on your product list anyway. So just be as clear as you can on what it is you're providing. You might go, right, that's 250 quid. Right, so I've got material costs here of 2,850. Don't forget to put a quantity in that box, because that's where this won't add up. Don't just put stuff in here. Make sure you put a 1, 2, whatever it is in there. Otherwise, it won't add it in. So product markup, you might go, right, so on my products, I'm going to go for a 40% markup, 1.4. Now that's now added up down here, and it's now telling you that your profit on the products that you're supplying is 1,220 quid, and you're making 28% margin on that. Okay, so let's just assume then that is your quote finished. And obviously there'll be more stuff in there on a real job. So when we go to this summary box here, we've got total labour costs, so 1,140 quid. So this is where you want to sense check it and go, is it realistic? This is your opportunity now to go, right, 1,140 quid, I've got to fit a kitchen, I've got to do this, do that, right? Can I get someone in to do that? Or could I do it for that? Then you've got material costs. Material costs are the consumables, the screws, plugs, the bits and bats that you're going to need, silicon, consumable timber, glue, all the rest of it. That's what we class as materials in this job. So you got labour, materials, which is these 2 columns there. Products is these ones here. So we're saying we've got 1,140 quid total labour costs. We've got 766 quid of consumables. You might look at that and go, oh, that's a bit high. Is that right? But again, you just need to check it. Again, this is just an opportunity just to check that it feels right. Product cost is that. So then we've got 2,850. So then we've got an installation profit here of 1,140, an installation margin of 37%. Product profit is 1,400 quid and 20, and product margin at 33%. Now they're pretty what I would expect to see around those sorts of margins, maybe a bit less if you think, this job we're going to make 2,563, and that's a 30% margin, a 35% margin, sorry. And then This works out down here. So we've got labor, and then so again, change the reference. So you might want to put, if it's Mrs. Jones, put Jones 1, or, you know, whatever your reference would be for that job. Anything in red you need to change. So here you'd have labor, consumables, and then we've noted there total 40% due. So that would be your sort of deposit, and then products we put paid for up front. So we're telling the customer here as well that you're going to pay for 40% of that, and you're going to pay for that up front. So there's no awkward conversations down the line. Then assuming you're VAT registered on this sheet, again, if you're not VAT registered, you delete the VAT bit and put all the gross figures in at the top. And, you know, like I've said, if you're struggling with that, just let us know. But it's basically a case of, we're not VAT registered, right? So delete that, and then all these boxes have the gross figure in instead of the net figure. I would recommend you go VAT registered, by the way, just as a side note, because you're not going to do that many jobs before you get there. So you might as well get ready for it. If you're going to be supplying and fitting kitchens, you know, you're going to go over the VAT threshold. It's going to happen. So I would just prepare for that and just go there straight away, get VAT registered. So again, this is giving us a summary. So we've got labor costs of this, product costs of that. This is showing them now. So this is your product costs plus the markup. So we've got 2,850 in there, but we're charging 4,270. So, and then 340. So that's 1,900 quid, and we're marking that up, you know, roughly 1,200 quid, like we said. So we're getting the 1,143 quid here. So that's where these numbers are coming from now. Then we've got a total, and then if we've got VAT, that's added on, and then we've got a quotation total. So you've got clarity here now on what my quote looks like. So again, red bits at the bottom, put your number, your name, your address, your website URL, delete the bits. So sort of before you start using it, tidy it up, get all your labor rates in there, and the stuff that you're going to use on a regular basis, at least get it in there. So now you've got this, you might be thinking right now, how do I get this into a quote? What you want to do is highlight that column, press Control or Function, depending on what you've got. So highlight all them, and then hide those columns. Now that's just got rid of all the stuff. Oh no, still on there. So hide, right click the column, hide column. Now if you want to unhide them, you just select the two each side and then click unhide. And that's how you bring it all back. But what you'd want to do obviously is copy and paste this sheet, and every time you're doing a quote, you use a new one. So you don't, this is just for one job. And then now we'd want to get rid of all the boxes there that we don't need. So all the things that aren't included in the quote, we'll then click on the filter button here, get rid of the blanks, press OK, and then that has now filtered out any of the bits that we're not going to use. Now, these bits that are listed where there's nothing in these categories, there is a 1 hidden in these boxes here that you can't see. So you might just want to remove those or delete them. But I used to just leave this in so it's clear, because it's also clear at this stage there's nothing included for these items. Because what you will get is, oh, I thought you were decorating, oh, I thought you were this, oh, I thought you were that. Well, it's not on the quote. The fact that it's sort of on the quote, but there's nothing listed underneath it, I think is better to keep on there, because it's just backing up the fact that nothing was included for instance, electrical work. No, Mrs. Jones, I wasn't down for putting your sockets on. There's nothing in the electrical category on my quote. And the fact that electrical's there without under it, I think makes it a bit clearer. But I understand that some people might want to delete these things. It's just however you want to present your quote. So we've hidden those columns. We've filtered these things just by getting rid of the blanks. So we'd click on the filter, get rid of the blanks there, press OK, and then we download this. So go into there, download as a PDF, and then this will give you a quotation that you can download as a PDF and then send to your customer. And that's how simple that is. So set your labor rates, change the quote template for your own business, and then once you've hidden and filtered, double check it all, and really after that point, you really should be good to go. Send them the PDF or upload it into your proposal software, which again, there'll be another video on presenting a quote better. So this is good to send. If you just want to send it on an email, that's okay. But if you want to take it to the next level, we're going to do another video on how to then just take a copy of this quote and put it into a proposal piece of software, so you can make yourself look even more professional. There's a notes box here as well, so you might want to put bits about what it does not include. And then there's a little note here that says, ensure any verbal arrangements are present in your final quote. Otherwise, any additional work will be charged outside of the quote. Because we've had it loads of times. Oh, you said this and you said that. Well, we might have said something, but there's lots of conversations that happen during the design stage. If it's not in your final quote, then it's not included. And again, just these little notes in there help you have these conversations with customers when they come up, because they'll try it on sometimes. Or sometimes they're not trying it on, but they just can't remember. But it's easy for you to go, all right, yeah, I'll do that, to try and keep the peace. But sometimes you just need to say, look, it's not included. It says here, you should have checked it before you signed up. So that's that. So to be even more useful, if you go to the WIP sheet, so along the bottom here, you've got customer quote and WIP sheet. So what we've got then here is some examples of how you can manage the costs. I'll just delete these items where I've been messing around with this. So what you'll do here, if you want to use it to manage the job, so this is now pulling all the numbers from the quote. So we've got a customer name, obviously we'll know that if you don't need to fill that in at the top. Labor budget, so now that's pulled in the labor budget from the previous quotation. We've got a consumables budget, which is obviously your screw fix receipts and stuff like that. B&Q, your consumable items. Product budget is here. And then we've got here, labor, consumables. So we've got a summary here. So what will happen is, or what I'd recommend you do is, you might go, right, I've got a labor budget of this. I've got a fitter in. He's going to do, so kitchen fitter. And he's going to, well, when his invoice comes in, you'll go, right, he's cost me 900 quid. Then you might go, Spark, cost me 200 quid. And I don't know, who else would you have? Low layer, I don't know, just putting things in. 190 quid. So we've got, put our costs in here. I'll tidy this up a bit. And then these will be the actual invoices that you get off the people that are working for you. So you'll just record them here. So whoever's doing your admin for you, I'd recommend that they come back to, so when you get receipts coming in and you get invoices coming in, maybe have a folder that then, right, once a week, someone comes into this spreadsheet. Because again, if this is what the customer's worked on as a quote, these numbers will be right. And then we'll put our costs in here. And then we'll go, right, consumables, we had a budget of 766 quid, but you might have, I've put allowed for 20 receipts in here. It should be fine. If you need more, just go add a row and you can add more in. But you might go B&Q, 500 quid, screw fix. So what you're better off doing here is adding in the receipts as they come in, and I'm putting bulk numbers in here, but you'd really want to be putting them in as you go. And then products, you might go, right, kitchen, actual cost, there's 2,100 quid, the worktops, 400 quid I suspected, and the sink and tap. So all your invoices then are getting logged in here, the costs. But maybe you spent 400 quid, a bit more on that, because you maybe missed a waste out or something like that. And again, as you're putting these things in here, if you're overspending here, you're going to know. So you've got what it should be and what it is. So there's an overspend here. But again, why was there an overspend? Without knowing, you'll never track these things. The next time you might want to go back to your quotation sheet and change the labor rates and put an extra 2 quid a unit in, because all the fitter whinged about this. So I'll tell you what, I'll make an allowance for that. moving forward, because that might be an ongoing thing. But again, this will give you the clarity to know where you're at, just adding these costs in. So this is then give us some sort of job performance summary. So we can say that labour above, we've overspent by 150 quid. On consumables, we've underspent by 16 quid, and products we've overspent by 60 quid. So the overall target is we're 194 quid over on our costs, and these will go red and green depending on how we've performed. So if we take that down to 300, you'll see that that'll turn green, because it's then saying, yeah, you've done well there. You're either on budget or under budget. If you're red, you've gone over budget. And again, it's very visual, gives you it's dead simple. You're not going to get any more simple than this, and it gives you the clarity per job of where you're up to. Expected profit on this job was 2,563 with an expected margin of 35.02%. The actual profit was 2,469, and the actual margin was 33.74. So there's a £94 difference and a 1.28% difference in the margin. So we have got a situation there where we understand where we're up to. So if we say move that to 600 quid or 700 quid, and we say, right, we've got a huge... So the difference is here, see what I mean? We'll say now we're out by 500 quid and the difference is 6.75% up or down. It depends on, we're out by something. Is it up or down? Now, if these are red and this is quite... if that's red, obviously then that 6.75 is 494 will be 6.75 of the number that we were trying to get to. So it just gives you so much more knowledge and clarity on every job, so you can learn as you go. So you can look at these numbers and know exactly where you are all the time. Costing examples, again, I've put some stuff in here because we've got, install sink and tap. Again, you might just want to play around with these numbers and go, right, so a 41% margin, install the sink and tap. If I paid the fitter 120 quid and build it out at 200 quid, that's making me a 40% margin. This box here is making you 33% margin. So these are just here for you to sort of have a play around and just decide where you want to be price-wise, and, just have a play around with numbers. I've just done this here, so it's easy for you to sort of come in and have a look and see how you think you might want to charge things around. Usually this is around the right place to be. If you want to use other things as well, we've got a sign-off form in here, so you might want to add your logo, download this as a PDF, and then that just use that as a sign-off form for the customer. Again, with the warranty form, download this page as a PDF on one page, and then just give the customer this as a warranty sort of certificate. It's just a nice touch sometimes. If you want to just plan your project out in a bit of detail, and again, because we're using this as a one-stop shop to try and manage a job from quote all the way through, it just might be helpful for you to go, right, day one we'll do this, day one we'll do, you can sort of put your head into the space of, right, how are you going to plan your job out? So that is the quoting template in a nutshell. Let's just make sure that we've gone through the points. So we had adding your info, setting your rates for each item, adding your labor and material cost per item using the yellow boxes only. You can change your markup margin at any time. Just concentrate on the costs at this point. Change any of the line descriptions that you don't want to use. So again, if we open this back up, you change these descriptions to what you want. These are just what I've put in just to get you going. If you VAT registered, use the gross, including VAT figures throughout the sheet, and delete the element of VAT in the quote totals at the bottom. So if you are VAT registered, put net figures in to the yellow boxes. If you are not VAT registered, put the gross figure in, including VAT. And again, if you're not VAT registered, just delete this bit in red. Just get rid of it, and the sheet should still work. If you do have any problems with the sheets, give us a shout. But that's how you do with the VAT. Hide and filter the sheet. I've showed you how to do that. So you select the columns, select the rows. The columns. Hide those, and then filter the rows by using the filter that should be on this column here. When you download the sheet, if you have any problems or it doesn't work as expected, give us a shout and we'll try and sort it out. I'd recommend using Google Sheets for this. Upload it into Google Sheets, because Google Sheets is good because, one, you don't need Microsoft Office. You can use it anywhere, your iPad, your phone, all that type of stuff. If you're using like an older laptop with Office 365 and the old Microsoft Excel or something like that, you might find possibly some problems. I would recommend that you use it, get a Google Drive account and go and set up a folder and put some of these quote templates in there, download from the hub, upload them, play around with the sheet, make sure it's working. If there's any bugs or anything that's not right, let us know. Tweaking the margins, again, we went round that. So tweaking your products, which is the products at the bottom, the kitchen, the worktop, all that rest of it. Labour and consumables is these two columns here, all the way down to the black box. And then this is your products box here. And to play with those margins, you just mark them up by whatever you want to on these guides next to each box. Manage the costs on site. Again, that's just going back to once you've got a job live, you then come into your WIP sheet. WIP means work in progress, which is why it's called the WIP sheet. So WIP, work in progress. Track as you go and know where it's going right or wrong. If you're making a green on every job, if you're seeing one red, fine. This is the main one here. If that goes red, you've made a mistake somewhere. If they're all red, you're making big mistakes. So just be careful. They might all be red and it might be out by a fiver. So red doesn't mean disaster, but it means that something's not right. And if they all are red, there probably will be a disaster. So you need to just make sure that this one at least stays green most of the time. And if there is a tolerance of 1 or 2% here, we've got a 1.5% difference. We can live with that. If we've aimed at an overall margin of 35% down here, and we bring it down to 33, we're not going to lose any sleep over that. If we're starting at 35 and we're ending up at 20% gross margin, remember, gross margin is, we've still got to pay our overheads with a gross margin. We need to make sure that we're learning as we go and tweaking our prices or processes as we go through the jobs, so we get to a good place and be consistent with the margins and profit. Use the customer journey tracker. So once you've got a few of these sheets quoting and you're thinking, right, because these sheets are good for tracking one job, but when you've got a few jobs and you're doing quite a few quotes, the customer journey tracker in the hub, there's another spreadsheet where you can just basically monitor all your jobs and see where they're all up to. Again, just add them to the spreadsheet. New inquiries, the spreadsheet manages it per stage where you're at. So leads, quotes, follow-ups, designs, jobs in progress, all that type of stuff. So use that. Well, once you start getting familiar with this sheet, get your customer journey tracker up and running, and make sure that you're then using these sheets for individual jobs and using your customer journey tracker for all jobs. So you're tracking everything. And in that customer journey tracker, there's a box to put in your profit on every job, expected profit against actual profit, which you will be able to pull out of here, because you will have expected profit and actual profit. And they're the numbers at the end of every job when you get your final payment and you've put all your costs into the sheet. That's what you need to be checking on every job. So then we can look at, if you need help from us, we can look at these sheets and go, right, clearly the problem here is you're expecting to make 2.5, but you're making 1,800 quid, say, on every job. And why is that happening? But again, if we're not tracking, we don't know. And if we're not tracking, we slowly go into the struggle because we're not we're not aware of why is the cash tight? I thought I was pricing it right, but why is the cash tight? This is why you need to be tracking it. So if you're not pricing it properly, or you're running the job wrong on site, or there's something that's happening, you can always correct it, but you can't correct something that you don't know is there, and you won't know it's there if you're not tracking it and using these tools that we're giving you. So use the customer journey tracker, and thank you. So that's the end of that one. Keep checking the hub for more content on running and growing your business. Again, we're always adding stuff in there. If you need help, email us at trade@KBB Supply Services. I hope this has been useful. I think that, remember, go back and watch the Costing Jobs Properly one and this one, and then we'll do another video on, if you want to do it better than just sending it on an email, we'll do another video on how to send the customer a proper proposal using a piece of software that looks really good. And that will really start setting you apart. And all this is geared around getting your margins right by having a good customer journey, good process, and making your business thrive, and obviously making your life easier in the process and giving you a better lifestyle, because you're earning more money, and that's what it's all about. And there's lots of opportunity in this industry, as I've said before. You shouldn't be settling, because there's no reason to settle. You should be going for it and doing everything you can, and these tools will hopefully help you do that. So thank you very much. We'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.